Tonight must be true on the internet, and we believe everything on the internet, right?
Some people do.
And our presenter is Barbara Kemp, and you hold 2 degrees, pharmacy degree, and then one with home economics.
Yes,
so you kind of have both things going on. Yeah, that's great. So I actually had seen her at Ollie because you teach an Ollie class this semester too.
Yeah, I teach 2 Ollie classes, this semester and then another one
the other semester. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this semester it's
dietary supplements.
So yeah, I think some of our people actually have gone and seen that one. So yeah. But when I saw you at the Ollie information thing, we talked a little bit about that, and you said, "Hey, yeah, I can do something about the internet." So I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Okay. Want to know more about your advanced meter? Let's start with the basics. This is a regular meter.
It must be true. And I titled it this way because there's a lot of health information online. And not all of it is
information you access from your advanced
should be trusted. So I thought I cannot possibly in 1 hour or 45 minutes tell you everything you need to know about all the dietary supplements, all the prescription drugs, all the over-the-counter drugs. There's no way. So what I thought I'd do is tell you how to find out what you want to know through the internet. And there are some good sites, but your first rule of thumb is if it ends in .com, put your radar up. May not be reliable. Same thing is true with a .net because people can buy those. They're commercial sites. They want you to buy something. That's why it's called .com. It's commerce. So that information is likely to be biased. And .net is the same way. It's, Spectrum.net or something like that, Windstream.net. Those are still commercial types of sites. Anybody who buys it can use it. So those are ones you kind of need to be wary of. I'm not saying their stuff is not good. I'm just saying be very discriminating on these kinds of sites. What kind of sites are more trustworthy? Well, if it ends in .org, it's owned by a nonprofit, usually. And they have nothing to gain by putting up misleading information. So the caveat here is that this domain is for sale, and some for-profit companies can buy that name to trick you. So that's the only problem with that. But if it's a legitimate company and you've heard of it, it's a .org, it's reliable because they have nothing to gain. They're not in it for the money. A site that ends in .edu, that's a college or university, or the extension offices of those colleges and universities. And they're just there to give you information. And the only information that may not be accurate on that is things that they don't know. But everything they put on there is usually researched and pretty accurate. .gov, those are governmental agencies. And I have several sites on here that are .govs. It's our U.S. government for the most part, and they are also there to impart information. And some of the better sites that I'm going to show you are .gov sites. There's sites that end in .mil. We won't get to those because they're military use only. So nothing I'm going to tell you ends in .mil. Okay, the second rule of thumb is when you're looking at things, any kind of ad on TV, in a magazine, on the internet, watch out for these phrases, because if it says clinically tested, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't say it passed. It doesn't say it got an A. It doesn't say it even was better. It said it was tested. Okay, well, so what? Don't care. Clinically proven. Okay, that means that it was better. But was it statistically significant? It might have been better. 7 people out of 14 were better. So they say, yeah, it's proven to be better. It wasn't, because there weren't enough people in the study. It really didn't have that many more. It was just, just barely. And studies show. Again, studies show doesn't tell you how good the study was. And if it only had 6 people in it, it wasn't enough to prove anything. And I have seen some of the sites online that cited these studies, and then people called them out. Well, you only had 10 people in the study. That doesn't mean anything. There weren't enough people to show. Unless there was 9 out of 10 people that saw a difference, 10 people is not enough to really show anything. You have to have a bunch of people, especially when you're talking about drugs and side effects. If you bring out a new drug and you test on 100 people and 98 of those people had no side effects, that doesn't mean that the drug doesn't have any side effects. It means that your sample was small. And that's why when drugs come out on the market and then millions of people use them, all of a sudden stuff starts popping up. These are rare side effects that didn't happen in that small study of 100. But when you broaden it out to 1 million, then people start getting things like, heart failure and narcolepsy and all these weird side effects. And then they may have to take the drug off the market. That's happened several times because the studies were smaller. And when they got bigger, then the bad side effects showed up. So be wary of studies show. Okay, here's an example of a .com site. And I saw this, I think I heard it on the radio. Find us on the web at nervivehealth.com. Okay, what do you think you're going to find when you go to this site? Here it is. Here's the site. You see pictures of their products. You can see, let's see. Here's some of their products. And you can look at them and say, well, I wonder what's in Nervive nerve relief. This is supposed to help with nerve pain, right? Okay, so this tells you what's in it. #1 selling nerve care company. How many others are there? They're advertising themselves as nerve care, which is kind of weird anyway. And then they have, after everything that you see on this, there's some bullet points. There's bullet points, asterisks, asterisk. Does that make you suspicious? It should, because they're putting disclaimers on everything. Because it's, well, we're going to say that, but it's not really true. Now, you get down to the bottom, and here you go. First of all, none of these statements have been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Okay, so they just told you it was going to do all this stuff. And then they have to tell you at the bottom, but we don't really know. So be aware. Now, this thing at the bottom helps with occasional nerve aches. What are nerve aches? I mean, neuropathy is a real thing, but nerve aches, I think they made this up. Weakness, discomfort due to natural changes in nerves with aging. Caveats, all this stuff. It may or may not be. So you got to watch this stuff, especially when they have that many caveats on. Okay, now I want to show you. Can you see? Probably not on Zoom, but you can see it this way. So on the label, it's a supplement. It's not a drug. And it has supplement facts. Supplement facts are the same kind of labeling as you get on food. So they have to tell you how many calories are in it. You don't care. Nobody cares how many calories are in a pill. But then here's what's in it for real. Vitamin B6. Well, those are just vitamins. And it's 100% like you get in a Centrum vitamin. Alpha lipoic acid, little asterisk there. We don't know how much you need. Nerve relief herbal blend. Chamomile, lavender, and then there's melatonin. Now, the one good thing I'm going to tell you about this Nervive PM is that there's only 2 milligrams of melatonin in it. And that's actually what older people need. Most of the melatonin on the market has a lot more than that in it. And so you take more and then it doesn't work or you have side effects, blah, 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 blah. But at least this product has the right amount of melatonin in it for an older adult. So I'll give them perks for that. That's a good thing. So the bottom line is this website is really just for advertising purposes. And they, all these other ingredients that they have to tell you what it's in it. But, what's in it is some vitamins, some chamomile and lavender, and some melatonin. And melatonin's in there because they call it PM. So be aware when you go to a .com site, you're not seeing the studies. You're seeing the advertising. Okay. It's good to know what's in it, though, really. Okay, it's PM because it has melatonin in it. Good to know. There's the disclaimer. Required on every dietary supplement that makes a health claim. And so if you just sell vitamin A, for instance, vitamin A, 5,000 units, and you don't say it's good for anything, you don't have to put this disclaimer on there. But if you say may help with eyesight, boom, this disclaimer has to go on there. Because if it's a dietary supplement, it has not been studied by the FDA. It hasn't even gone through the approval process of the FDA. And so they're not allowed to say, they're not allowed to make health claims. There's a few exceptions. And if you take my dietary supplements class, we'll talk about the exceptions. But for the purpose of this thing's going to be on anything that makes a health claim. This is one of my favorite sites. And all these nutraceuticals that are on this page, all the different ways nutraceuticals come. And that's vitamins. It could be vitamins. It could be dietary powdered supplements that think collagen peptides. Food extracts in gel form. People who want to buy cranberry pills instead of eating cranberry. These kinds of things. All of this can be found at this great website. https://odsodnih.gov. Fact sheets, take a picture of this because it's a long one, but this is a great, great website. And I love this website. This is dietary supplement fact sheets on almost every dietary supplement you can think of. And it starts with, let's get this bigger. It only goes to, my sheet goes to apple cider vinegar, but it starts with a 5 because you've got this thing up there. And then every single letter you can pull up. You say, well, let's look at melatonin. You go down here, you find melatonin, you click on it again, and here you go. Great fact sheet. What is it? How does it work? What are the health benefits? And this tells you what it's good for. Jet lag, anxiety before and after surgery. They use it in the hospitals. We use it a lot in the hospital when I was working in pharmacy. Delayed sleep-wake phase, people who work night shift and stuff, they have problems. Sleep disorders in children. And then some of the things people might have heard, does it help with cancer symptoms? Only if you have insomnia for cancer. Can it help with insomnia? Is it safe to take? All of this good kind of information is on here. And so, if you're contemplating taking a dietary supplement and you want to know if it's worth it or not, you can go here. And this is my favorite site. It's really good. And like I said, they've got so many different things on here. So many things I've never heard of. How about this one? Thunder God Vine. What the heck is that? And here's a picture of it if you see it out in the woods. It grows in Southeast China. You probably won't see it out in the woods. No, this is great. They have all this cool stuff. And what do we know about safety? Should not be used to replace conventional medical care. It's just really good stuff. It's well, in certain doses, everything can be. Exactly. Yeah. Extremely poisonous if not prepared properly. This is not the only one like it. So if you go out in the woods and pick it, and then you do it wrong, yeah. So interesting. I love this site. Like I said, this is one of my favorite sites because there's so much cool stuff on it. Okay, what about food in general or dietary guidelines? Well, the U.S. government has dietary guidelines, which basically tells you if you're an older American, how much vitamin A do you need? How much vitamin C do you need? How much magnesium do you need? And so this is in this book right here, and it's a PDF and it's free. You can download it. It's about, I don't know, maybe this one's about 75, 80 pages long. It's long, but it's, and I did not download this one. I looked at it, but I did not download this one. And it tells you, you know, because there's a lot of stuff in there about pregnant women, breastfeeding women, infants, toddlers, you know, a whole lot of stuff like that. But it tells you how much of everything you need and what mistakes people are making. You know, not getting enough protein as an older adult, for instance. So this is a good source if you want to know how much of, if you want to plan a diet and you want to know how much of something to get. But what's not in it is how much nutrition is in each food. So if you're thinking, well, I'll just eat tomatoes and oranges and get all my vitamin C there. Well, how much vitamin C do I need? Well, you go up to the dietary guidelines to find out how much you need. But how much vitamin C is in an orange? Well, then you go to this, the nutritive value of foods, this guy right here. And this is awesome. And it tells you all sorts of fun facts, like what is a medium apple? You see that somewhere. A medium apple has 80 calories in it. Well, what's a medium apple? It's a tennis ball size apple. You know, what's a medium potato? Oh, that's a computer mouse size potato. So it's fun stuff. 1 ounce of hard cheese, average person's thumb, not me, but an average person's thumb. A ping pong ball full of peanut butter, it's 2 tablespoons. It's fun. And then you go down to here, and this is the crazy part. And it tells you, my problem with this is that the pages are like this, and I want them like this. Because I'm looking up here, cranberry juice, you know, it has 144 calories in it, doesn't have anything else in it, no fat, of course. But then I have to go down to the next page to get, you know, things like vitamin C. And that's awkward. See? Vitamin A tells you how much is in it, but it's awkward because you can't look. So as wonderful as this is, I really would rather have a book that opens. And I tried to download it so that it would do that, and I couldn't get it to do it. Because when I did, the pages were wrong, you know, so it was still messed up. But it's a great site, and if you figure out how to use it, you can learn a whole lot of stuff. But there's also some stuff in it, daily values, of course, that's how much you need. Recommended daily intakes, kind of like what was in the other one, but not as detailed. Caffeine values, love that, you know. So there's a lot of fun stuff in here. It's a good site, and it's reputable too. So, okay. That's on food and diet. Now let's talk about drugs. Your best source of prescription drug information is your pharmacist. They go to school for 6 years. We have to learn every single drug, what's in it, how it works.
I'm sorry, what did you say the best source was?
The pharmacist. The pharmacist who dispensed your medication. If you have a particular medication, you can ask your pharmacist. There's also an information leaflet that comes in every bag. It's required to come with the drug, and it has all of this information, drug name, including how to pronounce it, if that is an issue for you. Some drugs are easy to pronounce, some not so much. What it's used for, how to use it. Should you take it with food? Should you take it on an empty stomach? Should you take it at bedtime? What are the side effects? Now, sometimes the side effects, you know, this thing right here, this is one of your drug information leaflets. it's a lot. There's a whole lot of drug interactions, precautions, side effects. There's a lot, and it might be intimidating, and you're going, wad that thing up and throw it away, and then just go ask your pharmacist, because this is a lot of information, and I think you should know it, but it might be overwhelming. And there are people who won't take a drug because it says you might die on it. Well, yeah, I know. Some drugs have that as a side effect. You know, they did this 1 million person study and 3 people died. So they have to put it on there, required. Precautions, you know, most of those precautions are don't drive until you know how this medication makes you feel. Most of them are like that. And then what to do if you miss a dose. Should you retake it? Should you double up your next dose? Should you just skip it? So all of that information is on the leaflet. This guy right here. There was 2 pages to this. I mean, this was 1 page, and then there was another page. It was quite extensive, but it's bold where you need to know what it is: side effects, drug interactions, precautions, etc. And there it is. Drug interactions may change how your medications work or increase your risk for serious side effects. And that is true, but that's a very general statement. So they have some general statements here and some specific regarding the exact drug. Other sources of information for prescription drugs. If you want to know about a drug you're not taking, you obviously don't have a leaflet to go by. So you can ask your pharmacist. And your pharmacist is a good source because, number one, they know what other things you're taking. If you're wondering about, should I think about taking Fosamax? You can talk to your pharmacist and they can look at your profile and see if there's anything that could be a contraindication or something that would, that you're already taking, that you don't need Fosamax. Pharmacist is a good source. They also usually have these drug information sites open on their computers. They can put 2 buttons and get to it. But I'm going to talk about some of the other sources that if you're at home and it's not you, but you still want to know about it, or you saw something on TV and you're curious and you want to know more, these are some reliable sources. The first one's called Hippocrates, and it's a .com site, but it's geared to the professional doctors, nurses, pharmacists, optometrists, stuff like that. It's geared for them. So they call it a .com site because they want you to buy a subscription. But I've never bought a subscription, and I've used this for years. So you don't have to have one just to use the basic platform. It's geared to healthcare professionals. So you may or may not be able to understand some of what's on it, but I'll show you what a site looks like. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to go here because I already logged in. So if you have a subscription, you log in up here, and then you can bypass all the trying to get you to buy a subscription stuff. But see, there's not a lot of ads on this one. This is medical news. And it's very up to date because it's saying on September 11th, the FDA authorized and approved an updated COVID vaccine. So that was today. So this thing is quite up to date. And then if you want to know about a specific drug, up at the top, here's the things about the drugs. And again, just like the other site, there's, you click on the letter of whatever you're looking for, and you'll see all of the drugs that you might want to check out. Now, the reason I said this is geared toward professionals is, okay. They list all the different brand names in case there's 2 brand names and they have different indications, but I just picked the generic. So this is what this is the site. So you see a lot of abbreviations that you may or may not be familiar with. And this may be something that's just not for you. But if you are a healthcare professional and you've never used this site, it's pretty good and it's free to use. Dosing, contraindications, precautions. What else is on here? Drug interactions. What is actually contraindicated? Contraindicated means you should not take these two together. You should not. Not just a caution, this might not be a good idea. No, this is a no. And there's reasons for that. And there's a whole lot of contraindications with this particular drug. I didn't think about that when I pulled it up, but there are. Because it interacts with some food as well as some drugs and can cause some really weird side effects. But if that's not you, if you don't have any of those drugs, this is a good drug. So this one also has pill pictures. And this one also has a site where you can do pill ID, and I'll show you that in a minute when I get to the slide about pill ID. So this site has some good stuff on it. It's just more geared to a professional who can understand some of the lingo and some of the abbreviations. So back to this. PDR.net. PDR used to stand for Physician's Desk Reference, and you may be familiar with it. You may have seen it on your doctor's desk. You may have seen it for sale in a store or something like that. And it was a big, hefty book like this, and it had basically the package inserts that came with all the drugs. That's what was in it. And they no longer do that. They don't publish it in book form anymore. It is now called, still PDR, Prescriber's Digital Reference. It's free to use. Notice it's a .net. They still want you to pay. You don't have to, though. Just letting you know. And the online is actually more user-friendly than the other thing was, because it doesn't have, for instance, the other ones used to have the chemical structures in there, you know, the molecules all drawn out. Well, this site doesn't do that anymore. So it's kind of geared more toward the regular public, but not entirely, and I'll show you in a minute. You have to be a healthcare professional to have access to the mobile app. If you want to download it on your phone, you have to give them your license number or something like that. But if you just want to get to the website like I did, just go to the website. Let's go to the website. Let's do that. Okay, so this is it. Fully searchable, fully digital. So this is it, and then you type in the name of the drug you want. Type drug name here. Couldn't be more, and we're going to type in Lasix because it's short. And yep, that's the one I want. Okay, it's gonna, there. And here it comes, Lasix. Drug summary, a lot of clicking, huh? Okay, so here's what you get. All of the same stuff you got before. Common drug name, brand names, adverse reactions, administration, description, interactions, how supplied. This is where we get into stuff that's going to be way over your head unless you are in the healthcare profession, because it talks about how the drug works in the body, and it's going to mention all sorts of stuff that may not relate to you or where you are. So, you know, you don't have to read it. You can just look at pregnancy and lactation, not that you care about that. But you can do maximum dosage, 600 milligrams a day. Most people take 20 or 40. But if you're in the hospital, you know, you can get this and it's not going to hurt you. So, like I said, this may not help as much because it is more geared toward a professional clientele. But it's still good to know that it's out here and it's reliable. And even though it's a .net site, this thing has been around for a long time and it's trusted and people rely on it. Take with meals. You can crush the tablets, you know, all sorts of this. And then stuff that you probably don't care about, that how to do it IV, stuff like that. So it's aimed at a professional audience, but it still has a lot of good information in it, and it is a free site. PDR. Drugs.com. This is the most popular, comprehensive, and up-to-date source of drug information. It is a .com, but According to them, it is peer-reviewed, accurate, and independent. And it does not have, oh, sorry, I messed you over, didn't I? But you can get it from here. It does not have a whole lot of ads on it, surprisingly. It has a lot of health news on it. But again, you can go over here and type in the name of a drug, or you don't type it in, you just pick it. Gabapentin. Yep, gabapentin. So this tells you what it's for, and brand names and warnings. This is a little more user-friendly. Here's your ads, by the way, but they probably make them specific to the drug you picked, you know. So how you should take it, all the same kind of stuff that's in here. It's on drugs.com. Usual dose for this indication, this indication, this indication, you know, what to do if you miss a dose, all this kind of stuff. It's the same as in a lot of the other sites. It's just a different site. And I don't know if some of these sites have certain drugs on them and some of them don't. I do not know that. I haven't compared them side by side to say, well, is this orphan drug on all these sites or is it just on a few? I haven't checked. But anyway, this is drug status, prescription only. And then this is interesting. Is it a controlled substance? It depends on the state you're in. In our state, yes, it is. Gabapentin is classified as a controlled substance at the state level in the following states, and we are on the list. So, but it is not in other places. So, it's Kentucky. Just Kentucky. So, other sites for the general public that are more disease type oriented, like if you have you want to know more about COVID, or you want to know more about allergies, or you want to know more about the flu. These are some good sites that you can go to. They do have the drugs and the supplements information as well, but they also have a disease or a symptom log where you can look it up to get more information. And then these will tell you, do I need to see a healthcare professional? So this is Mayo Clinic site. I pulled up the drug and supplement thing. It looks very similar to other sites like it, but they also have a health library where you can click on diseases, and then you can type in the disease you're curious about. So let's type in COVID.
What's the difference between a condition and a disease?
Well, it's what condition your condition was in, you know. A condition wouldn't necessarily mean that you're infected or have an organ that's failing or something like that. The disease means there's something wrong. Condition, you know, like insomnia is a condition, it's not a disease. But COVID's a disease. So you can pull it up and two results. Okay, so here's the information that this site has about COVID-19. Here's some information about the vaccines, about the virus itself in this section, some sources you can look for. Here's the symptoms, early symptoms, other symptoms, and when to see a doctor, which is very helpful when you have COVID. You test, you're positive. Okay, now what do I do? You know, should I go? Should I not? I know what it is. So this is a good site. Constant chest pain or pressure, trouble staying awake, confusion that's new. If you're always confused, that's not a big deal. Trouble breathing, or, well, this is pretty obvious, pale, gray, or blue. If you're not oxygenated, you need to go. So anyway, it's a good site, and it's trustworthy. It's the Mayo Clinic. They have nothing to gain by misleading you, because really, you're not going to take an appointment at their clinic for COVID. You're not. So everything on here is legit. And they And they also have the same kind of stuff on the drug sites. You can pull up patient information sheets just like, and they're pretty much the same patient information sheets you get in your package because those are pretty standard. Now here's Cleveland Clinic, and it's very similar to the Mayo Clinic. Again, there's some health news, some stuff like that. But then there's also the health library, which is kind of nice. And then you can search, you know, do you want to find out more about, insomnia? Okay. Fatal familial insomnia. Whoa, let's not go there. Okay, so here's a little information sheet about insomnia. It's not sleeping as you should. And it tells you what you can do for sleep, how it helps. Some people are just, you know, their biological clocks are different. There's different types. How common is it? What are the symptoms? I think I know this. Can't sleep. When you have trouble, what to do, and what causes it. So this is pretty cool, you know. How's it diagnosed? And it's prescription drugs, non-prescription drugs, non-controlled drugs, sorry. And I was sure melatonin is not even a drug. So anyway, all of this stuff is on here. Good to know, helpful. And then drugs.com and Hippocrates both have ways to identify these pills. So if you find a pill on the floor and you don't know what it is, this is a good place to go and look. Because if you're wrong, if you think it's your blood pressure medicine, but it's not, it was your daughter-in-law's birth control pills, you know, you don't want to mess up. So you go to the site and then it'll tell you to enter the markings. And every prescription drug has markings, every single one of them. Some of your over-the-counter drugs have markings. None of your dietary supplements do, unless they're stamped with a brand name or something, but they're not going to have these code numbers on them. So when you find a pill, it has numbers. You type in the number. It may ask you more information, like, is it round? Is it oblong? Is it scored? Scored means there's a line in the middle where you can cut it in half. So all of this kind of stuff is in here, and then you can identify the pill, and then you can know what you found on the floor. I'm going to say sometimes you need a magnifying glass to see these marks, especially if it's been in the bottle for any length of time, because some of the, you know, it wears off and then you can't see it. But these are good sites. Your pharmacist can even use these. We all use them.
Are the numbers the same for generic as opposed to brand names?
Not necessarily. They will be if the brand name people co-opted the generic. Or no, how does it work? So Protonix comes out, and now it's been on the market a long time, so now it's a generic. So you open your bottle of generic Protonix, and every one of them says Protonix on it. They just bought the leftover. So sometimes, yes, but not always. Okay. Okay, this is one probably everybody's familiar with, WebMD. And it's probably the most commonly used site. However, let me give you some caveats about this. It's not a scholarly, peer-reviewed source of information. So it's a good starting point, but I would not recommend it to be the only source you use for a couple of reasons. A lot of pop-ups. Oh, I can't even stand to be on the site because it keeps doing that to me. It just drives me nuts. It's ad-supported, so it may be biased. When it says, what can you take for a cold? Oh, well, you know, Vicks paid for this, so let's recommend NyQuil, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's not something that, yeah, I'll go to WebMD, but I usually don't go to it by itself, maybe as a second source. But here's WebMD, and it has conditions. They have diseases in here as well as conditions, because some of these are definitely diseases. And then the drugs, and they have a pill identifier here too. But it's just It's a little annoying for me. Oh, there you go. First thing, pop up. I hate this kind of stuff. I just want to go away from the site because I can't stand it. And it does it all the time. I mean, did I say anything about atopic dermatitis? I did not. Where do they come from? I don't know, but I don't want to deal with it. This site is annoying for me. I'll just tell you. And that may be my bias, but that drives me nuts. All these pop-ups. I can't stay on the site because there's too many pop-ups. And of course, because it's got a lot of ads in it, you don't know if they're giving you true information or if they're just promoting. The last source I want to give you is FDA.gov. Now, this one may make you think, well, this is where all the food and drugs are. No. This is a lot of information about recalls. So if you heard something like you heard on the news and you were walking through the room and you just missed it, that maybe they recalled all the Sudafed. And you're like, oh, I got Sudafed. I wonder if that applies to me. Well, you can go to this site and look it up. And it'll tell you. It's going to tell you why it was recalled, who made it, what the lot numbers were, if there's specific lot numbers. Obviously, there's no ads. It's a government website. The drug information on the site is mostly about patient safety. If there's been things pop up that we're questioning, maybe this drug isn't as safe as we thought, more people have had this side effect and reported it. And that's going to be here. And the newly approved drugs are on the site. So if I go to this site right now, I'm probably going to see this COVID vaccine. Your guide to FDA authorized and approved vaccines. It's right here because, they just did it, right? So you can look at, where's the menu? There it is. So, medical devices, about FDA, information for consumers, that would be you guys, healthcare professionals, vaccines, and press announcements, like right here. What do you think's on here? September 11th, FDA takes action on COVID vaccine. Warning letters to 3 infant formula manufacturers. People who adulterate their infant formula should be hung. And then approve the first vaccine for pregnant individuals to prevent RSV in infants. So this is news, press announcements, the latest breaking everything. And then there's recalls. Let me go back to home. The recalls where are the recalls? Here they are. Recalls. So here's the recalls, the recent ones. And they're listed in a list like this. So, and it's not just drugs, okay? It's food. So, assortment of flavored moon cakes in gift boxes. That was recalled because it had egg in it. So if you are at home and you have this box of moon cakes and you say, it was recalled, oh my gosh, I wonder why. And you look and you see it has egg in it and they didn't put it on the label. Do you care? Well, only if you're allergic to eggs. So they say, I can eat that. So this site's good for that. Oh, this is a great one. This has a dietary supplement on it, and they actually recalled it. And I don't know what the drug is. It's kind of made up like that. But it had sildenafil in it, and that is Viagra. So this particular dietary supplement had a prescription drug in it, and it was being marketed as a dietary supplement. So they pulled it. The FDA is allowed to do that, but they do not otherwise regulate dietary supplements. That is up to the manufacturer. But in this case, they found one that was adulterated, and because it's an adulterated food, drug, something, they could pull it or call it recalled and get it pulled that way. So I think that's all I have. Yep. Anybody have any more questions? It's a lot of information. There's a lot of information out there. That's what I said. I couldn't tell you everything about all the drugs, all the dietary supplements in one small session like this. But if I give you information on where you can go, maybe it'll help. Yes.
Is there a small group of people that they keep in a little box to determine the name of a drug? Make it possible?
Well, I will tell you that in the generic name is usually based on the chemical name. But in the case of a brand name, when they went to pick the name Xanax, they kind of had a contest at the manufacturers, and they came up with Xanax because it's a palindrome.
Oh.
Or Premarin. Premarin's a good one. Premarin comes from the fact that it's made from pregnant mare's urine.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, that's where that name came from. So, yeah, all sorts of fun facts.
Wow. So Barbara, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We will be a lot safer as a result of this. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, all right, we're going to go